Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn Hazim. I'm a longtime Googler. I'm a big lover of food, and I'll be your host for this talk. I'm very excited to be joined today by Chef Tala Bashmi. Tala is a Bahrain born, Swiss trained chef who was recently named the winner of the first Middle East and North Africa Best Female Chef. Um, she's joining us in a bit. I'm gonna give a quick intro about Tala, but before I do this, I just want to remind everyone that we're leaving 10 minutes at the very end for Q&A. So if you have questions, just leave them in the chat and we'll get to them in the last 10 minutes. So I'm going to give a quick brief about Tala before she joins us. So Tala began her career through a home venture called Bakery by Tea. Her desserts became especially famous in Bahrain, garnering her numerous fans. Following this initial success, Tala joined the Culinary Arts Academy in Lucerne in Switzerland, where she gained a master's in international business and culinary management. During her time in Europe, she held roles at the Grand Hotel Trois and Michelin-starred restaurant Prisma, learning how to run restaurants operations, but also working in fast-paced kitchen environments. She then returned to the Middle East. She competed in NBC Top Chefs. She was one of the finalists. And went back to Bahrain. When she went back to Bahrain, she took over Fusions, a restaurant at the renowned Gulf Hotel in Bahrain in 2017, priding herself on the concept's willingness to experiment with ingredients and techniques used around the world, but also incorporating these into Bahraini dishes. The restaurant was then renovated and named Fusions by Tala in 2020. And with that, I'm very excited to welcome Chef Tala Bashmi.
Hi, Lynn. Thanks for
Hi,
having me.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for giving us the time to tell us your story. I want to start by asking you, how did it feel to be named MENA's best female chef for the first time in MENA?
Uh, it's unbelievable. It still hasn't hit me. Still, it's been since December now. And I don't think it's something you will ever adjust to.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mind blowing. It's insane. It came at the right time. It came at a time where I was kind of full of doubt and questioning what I was doing. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And when I got that call,
So that's what I wanted to ask you. It was an email, it was a call, it was.
it was an email saying that Fusions made it on the 50 best list. But then he was like, listen, if you're free for a call in the next couple of days, I'm like, I'm free now. What's up? So I get on the call with him and he just starts talking through the individual awards. And he's like, and as you know, there's the MENA's Best Female Chef Award. And the reason why we're giving this award is we want to support, encourage, inspire other women in the field. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And then he's like, and I just want to let you
Think,
know.
yeah.
And he was like, I wanted to let you know that you're the first to win this award. And I absolutely like choked up on the call, and it was a video call. And I'm like, look at me, I'm not crying. So I'm beyond happy. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
We'll talk a bit more about what this award means, like in general for the region, but also for you as a chef and specifically as a female chef. But I want us just to take a bit of a step back, and if you can tell us a bit about you, how did your love for food start? How did you decide to turn it into a career, into having a restaurant? How was Fusions by Tala born?
So here we go. Here's a little insight in my life. And I think with food, this is something everyone can relate to. Food gives you comfort.
Yeah.
It gives me comfort. When I was younger, I wasn't really very social, but I always found comfort and joy when it came to food. Whether it was sharing it with my family or eating it alone, watching TV on a Friday night, it was something that always gave me joy. So it was always something that ran through my blood. With my dad, he would always take me to markets. He would take me fishing. So I was always into that and around it. Then I actually had a very different career. I was very much into football. I was football obsessed. I played with the national team for 7 years.
You're always in a field that's a minority for women.
Yeah, I know, right? I picked the easy stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, and
You
so
wanted to do football professionally?
I wanted to do it professionally. So I moved to the US for my first year of college.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, this is way more difficult than I thought it was. And on top of that, to be a professional in this sport for women, you have to be part of the 1%.
Mm.
So I was like, listen, maybe it's not something I can pursue professionally. It's very difficult. So I kind of changed my path. Um, my first path change was into actually art.
Okay.
I always loved art. I grew up going to museums and galleries. So I got into art, fine arts and illustration when I moved to London. Moved back, worked at a gallery. So helped with curating and creating as well. After that, I kind of, we opened up a food market. I started
In
baking. I
Bahrain?
started in Bahrain, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I started baking. I did baked by tea from home, and people loved it. I just love people's reactions to literally taking a bite of one of my desserts and being like, "Oh my god!" And they still, till this day, be like, "You still make these?" Um, I did that for about 2 to 3 years till 2013. Then I was,
As a full-time thing.
yes. So
Okay.
I baked, I packaged, I did the social media, I did deliveries, I did food markets, I did everything um, alone from home.
Okay.
And this is where I kind of saw a fork in the road. I either continue and I can open a bakery, or I kind of wanted to challenge myself and said, I want to be the best chef I can be. So I actually want to study this. I want to work towards being a professional in this
Yeah.
field. So 2014, I joined the Gulf Hotel in Bahrain. I worked as a trainee, then became a management trainee, eventually moved to Switzerland for studies, moved back, kept working. And I mean, in a nutshell, we're
But you
here.
came back to that hotel, right?
Yes. So I've been with the hotel since 2014.
Okay.
And I worked in every section, in every department, from breakfast to butchery to Japanese to, I did it all. So it was a very, and I think it's something very important for people starting in this career to learn as well, all of these disciplines of our cuisine, you know?
And then Top Chef came later?
So with Top Chef, I only took over Fusions in 2018 as
Okay.
Fusions. And I was kind of given a challenge by our management. If you can make this place work within 1 year and show us in numbers that you have allowed this place to succeed with what you currently have, we'll then look into renovating it and renaming it Fusions by Tala. So in that year, it was myself and two other chefs. One of them refused to work with me because I was a woman and he kind of didn't like taking orders.
Yeah.
So I let him go to another department. And so it was two of us working for a year, doing 40 covers a night, was able to increase their profits by over 1,000%. And then when it came time for renovation of Fusions, that's when Top Chef came along. And I was very reluctant to join, to be honest.
Yeah.
And with the Top Chef, you obviously don't have access to your phone or internet or your laptop. And I was renovating a restaurant,
For the
opening a
whole,
restaurant. Yeah.
really?
Every 3 days, which is between each episode, you're allowed one phone call for 10 minutes and you can't say anything about the show.
Oh my God. But why? To avoid cheating?
Yeah, I mean, they don't want you to leak any information. They don't want you to, I don't know. So you didn't have your phone. I didn't have my phone for
That's
2 months.
intense.
Yeah. So I was doing that while opening a restaurant. So dealing with creating a brand and ordering crockery and hiring and seeing how the renovations are going on, I was doing it while doing Top Chef as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You knew. I'm just trying to understand why you wanted to go to Top Chef, knowing that there's a restaurant waiting for you.
So I didn't. I actually said no
Okay.
to them 3 to 4 times until they were like, Tala, just show up to the casting. This will be good for you. They said, you're opening a restaurant. Actually, it couldn't be a better time because
Yeah.
you will get that exposure. But for me, my reluctancy came from television and it being a show. For me, had it not been televised, I would have been more happy to participate more easily, I guess. Because for me,
Yeah.
if I'm competing, I'm competing. It's not about TV. It's not about how people are going to perceive you or how they make you seem. But end of the day, I did join. No regrets. And yeah, I made it to the final.
Wow. But then went back to full on
Immediately.
restaurant mode. And we were talking about this. You were telling me that you take one break per year during
Mhm.
Ramadan, where you take off. You work 6 days a week. Is
Yeah.
it 15 hours a day? How many hours a day?
Um, it really depends. So 6 days a week with 1 month, give or take a year off for the past at least eight
Oh,
years has been my
that's
schedule. Days can vary from 9 to 15 to 18 hours, really depending on how much work we have. So
yeah.
yeah, that's how it's been.
Uh, which shows you that the life of a chef is not as glamorous as people think. And I think it's not just about the long hours and not having enough days off and so on, but I think there's more that comes with it, from the pressure of being a chef and the pressure of creating and having people judge what you're presenting to them every single day. Is this something that you feel? Can you talk a bit more about the struggle,
Yeah.
the struggle of the job?
Oh,
I'm sure
100%.
there's
So
glamour in winning an award and people talking about you, and chefs are the new rock stars and so on. But I'm sure there's a lot behind the scenes that is physically draining, but also emotionally draining.
So with food, I'll just start with this. With food, it's like whether I cook for my family at home, if they don't like it, it's you're putting your heart and soul on a plate. The same way an artist gets judged for their artwork, and it's a part of you. No matter what you're making, it's a part of you. So you're constantly being judged. So it does have that emotional, mental strain in a sense on you. But when it comes to the hours, listen, it's difficult, but every chef at every level has different hours. So I don't want to say this in a discouraging way because you could be a chef at a cafe with a 9 to 5. You could be working the breakfast shift. You could be working normal main kitchen
Yeah,
hours. For me, though, in a dinner only restaurant or in a fine dining environment, you strive for perfection consistently, and you strive, for me what's important is people leave happy.
yeah,
It's not necessarily giving them what they want, but it is them leaving happy. It's like yesterday I saw a couple and there was some food left over, and I always tell my team, if there's any food left on the plate, please let me know. Okay. So I can go and check in on the guest and see, was everything okay? If it wasn't, like, here's a dessert, might make you happy, and it usually does in those rare
yeah.
occasions. Yet the guest himself came to me and said, I just want to let you know everything I ate was so delicious. And I actually just had like one of those stomach surgeries. So I literally cannot physically consume anymore. And I'm like, okay, good, cool. But with TV, with Top Chef, I feel like the new generation have this mentality of this rock star mentality. You're a
Yeah.
chef, it's cool, it's badass, you get to do cool stuff all day, you're out there, people see you. But little did they know that
Yeah.
eh, this becomes your life, this consumes you. Um,
And it's your identity, I work at a corporation, and when I leave I am somebody
yes.
else. But for you, it's it's who you are. People call you Chef Tala.
Yeah,
It doesn't leave you. It's 24/7. But do you feel there is extra pressure that came with the award?
of course, of
Like you
course.
were already striving for perfection and consistency and so on, but do you feel like people's expectations are just so much higher after you won the award? And
Their expectations are definitely higher, and the way I'm trying to handle it is your expectations are your expectations. What
yeah,
I put out is what I put out. It's not, because if I go back and I get into this whole mentality of trying to fulfill other people's expectations of me, I'm only going to dig myself a hole deeper and deeper and deeper and make this mentally more challenging for myself.
also
When
with food, it's like people have different tastes. You can't please everyone. And I can imagine I wanted to talk a bit about your food because I know that you try to, I don't want to say reinvent Bahraini cuisine, but kind of elevate it and give it a twist. And I'm sure that a lot of your food is based on memories that you have eating food in Bahrain and so on. So two things. One, if you can, because not everyone here knows Bahraini food and so on. So if you can tell us a bit about Bahraini cuisine, its influences, the main flavor profiles, and so on. But two, what are you trying to do at Fusions by Tala when it comes to Bahraini cuisine?
So, Bahraini cuisine, I'll say, is a cuisine that was born out of necessity.
Okay.
Bahrain historically was not a rich country. Bahrain relied mostly on fishing, pearl diving at the time. So, if you actually look into our history and our food, a lot of our food is seafood based. A
Yeah.
lot of our food became salted and dried in order to sustain the pearl divers and the fishermen that would be at sea for long periods of time.
Yeah.
This was also the case because fridges didn't exist.
True.
So I remember my dad telling me when they would have fish for lunch one day, if they had any left on the bone, they would hang it up in the sun to dry, to then be
Okay.
used for another meal. So
Okay.
a lot of our meals are very rich, very dense, very heavy traditionally, because you would have that one meal and your job was a laborer's job.
Yeah.
So that, apart from being part of the spice route and the trade, Bahrain is a hub. It's a port where so many different people came in and out. A lot of spices have come to us from India, influences from Iran, from
Yeah.
Portugal. Um, so historically, this was it. Yani mehiawa, for example, which is a type of fish garum,
Yeah.
which is now cool and popular in like Nordic cuisine and many other cuisines, actually came to us from the Portuguese. And it's an ingredient I use in my food today. So, history aside, what I'm trying to do is I'm still rediscovering our cuisine and rediscovering our flavors, and using the dishes that have triggered me or moved something inside of me to share them with my guests.
Yeah.
So, for example, with the collaboration I'll be doing in Dubai,
Yeah.
I'm not. I know Dubai is a town that loves extravagance and lavishness and kind of over the top and they like a good show. Okay, I'm not going to fall into the trap of feeling like I need to do that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. It's that, but I think people are looking for more
Yeah,
genuine, real experiences.
but
Yeah.
that's it. So what I'm actually going to bring into that dinner, I know are flavors that many people have never experienced.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very excited to do that. So, like for example, chibba is chibba or kibba, I guess we call it chibba in Bahrain.
Okay.
It's
Is it related to kabe?
yes,
Wala
it is, but it's made with prawn.
Okay.
So it's a prawn dumpling. It's stuffed with raisins and onions and turmeric, and it's cooked in a tamarind sauce. So this is a recipe that I learned from my grandmother. This is a
Okay.
recipe that I went to this cookbook author, and she made it for me. She is our Julia Child of Bahrain. And when I went to her
Okay.
house, I was like, I can't believe I served this to you, and now you're making it for me.
What's her name?
Delal al-Shurugi.
Okay. Okay.
So
I'll ask later for the cookbook.
she has published the history and whether it comes to the tools or the references or whatever it may be of Bahraini cuisine. So our cuisine, like I said, today is rice is always a staple, seafood, spices. People like heat as well here. But what I do, like I said, is try to pick up those little flavors, those little memories that trigger something for me and share them with others.
Yeah. And do you feel that people are open to having a modern take of Bahraini cuisine, or is it more critical? Is it more and I'm sure it varies. I'm sure your parents and their friends, they see it a bit more differently than younger people who are a bit more open.
So definitely, I like to always use this story. I believe what I'm doing, I'm not comparing myself to Massimo Bottura at all, but I feel like when he first started and he made his now famous ravioli dish or tortellini dish, he served 5 pieces of tortellini, and it was surrounded by a gel version of that sauce. There was like outrage. What is this? We're used to having a bowl of tortellini. You're giving me 5 pieces. So I feel like when I started, the older generation, my parents' generation, were very like, where's the bamia? Where's this? What is this? You know, till today. However, their mentalities are changing. The younger generation definitely open to try and taste. You can't make everyone happy, but does that mean I should change my path? No.
Okay.
You know, it's a new path that I'm treading.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna have everyone accepting or understanding, and that's okay.
And I wanted to point that in the Middle East in general, our cuisine hasn't really been elevated or turned into fine dining, and it's nice to see that it's happening in Bahrain. You know, I don't think it has happened in the UAE yet. I don't think there's a restaurant that does fine dining Emirati. I come from Lebanon. I haven't really seen that either. Maybe I'm Sharif a bit, but not that much. So it's nice that you're also paving the way, because it hasn't really started in the Middle East. And
it hasn't started, and paving the way for anything is never easy, obviously. It's fun. It's uncharted territory. You're allowed to kind of break rules because they don't exist.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your philosophy on food and ingredients. And I think in general, when it comes to food and cooking, there's a lot of talk about sustainability and going vegan and all of these different things. But I wanted, like, not everyone has to take this path and not everyone has to turn their restaurant into a vegan restaurant. But I wanted to get your thoughts on your philosophy on food. It might be that, I don't know, I'm assuming that maybe your philosophy is local ingredients, local cuisine, try to use as many local suppliers as possible. Just your thoughts in general on your philosophy of food.
My philosophy and the way I think about food changes very often. Not changes completely, but it transforms with me. It transforms with the way I think and with my mentality. So every day I learn something new. Every day I discover things. So for example, when there are certain things I don't serve at my restaurant based on my philosophy, in a sense. So I used to actually have foie gras on the menu. I don't serve it anymore just because I don't believe in the way it's done. I don't think, but by all means, if you serve it, that's a you thing. Another thing I don't serve because I don't know the source of it is salmon, for example. I actually stopped serving salmon, even though it's something very common that people enjoy having. But I've kind of restricted a few things and cut a few things out of my menu because I believe if I feed 1,000 people a month, I have the ability to change what 1,000 people eat and how they eat and how they see food. So I try to work as much as possible with local farmers.
Which is also not very easy to do so in the Gulf. Yeah. I mean, you can get a lot of seafood, but fruits and veggies and everything else is,
My seafood, so I have a guy at the fish market who's my guy. I go straight to him. He saves, and he's Bahraini. He'll tell me, my brother just got off the boat, come by now. And he'll tell me, this is good, this isn't good. I would go for this, try this new fish. So I try to incorporate that stuff in my menu when it's available, along with anything from the farmer's market when it's available. But keep in mind, people who don't know the Gulf or Bahrain or Middle Eastern, like weather, we have 2 seasons. Really, really, really hot. You can't touch your steering wheel hot.
And really not.
And it's nice. Okay, so we do have a limited period of time with local produce. So I do my best with that when it is available.
But what can you get?
Right
More.
now, you get a lot of root vegetables growing well in Bahrain. Right now, what's in season is a local fruit. It's called bambar. It's I could not for the life of me tell you what it is in English, but so my parents, when they were kids, would tell us they would shake this tree down, and when it was ripe, they would fall and they'd be yellow, and it's this sweet, almost melon-like fruit. And when it's unripe, we pickle it. So the season for that is right now. We have another local fruit called loz, which I remember seeing in the Seychelles.
Almond? No.
Loz, more almond loz. It has a nut inside it, but it's either red or yellow, and you kind of eat the skin, and it's a little sweet. So I remember seeing that in Seychelles, yet people didn't eat it, and it was for the fruit bats. And I'm like, wow, there we go. Bahrain is a country that makes the most of what we have always.
Yeah.
And it's born out of necessity, and it all comes back around,
And this leads me to my next question. I wanted to ask you about your creative process. What inspires you to create new dishes and so on? And I can imagine when you have a vision, which is to modernize Bahrain food, a lot of it comes from memories and so on. But in general, how do you go about creating new dishes?
Okay, so there's a few methods, and it depends. Especially, I like to rely on travel as well to give me some inspiration.
So that 1 month that you take.
That's 1 month, and that 1 month won't last you 11 full of inspiration. I'll tell you that much. There's a few methods. I either go into reading about old dishes and thinking how to reinvent them. That's the easy path to go. Or I pick up a single ingredient that I find and I try to create a dish using that single ingredient. Or I find a different, let's say a fruit, and I look at all the possible pairings that could pair with this fruit. And I either build a savory dish or a sweet dish out of it. I have a lot of different methods I try to use. I do get inspired as well, though, by art. When it comes to, for example, I like to make my own chocolate truffles. So I'll look at Van Gogh's Starry Night and I use that color palette and I play around and I create my truffles that kind of are inspired by that. So inspiration really can come from eating a traditional dish to seeing a new technique to reading a book that actually recently I've been inspired by movies and iconic scenes in movies and the food in them. And how they've stuck with us.
Sometimes it's all in your mind from experience over the years, but you just don't know. Like subconsciously, it's just there, and it's
tapping into it.
One day in the shower, you're like, I should make this dish. You think you just came up with an idea, but it's a buildup of different experiences.
100%. I mean, so like I said, for me, it's one movie. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Matilda. The iconic chocolate.
Wow, I haven't seen it. Yeah.
So that's a childhood memory. That for me is a childhood memory I wanted to recreate, and then for us to enjoy, for us to indulge, and it will bring you that joy. So it can come from anywhere,
Yeah. But then do you also feel like you have a perfect idea for a dish and you're going to make it happen and it's going to taste amazing, and then it doesn't taste the way you want it to taste?
100%.
And it's like 6, 7, 8 trials and it just doesn't get on the menu.
That's what people don't understand. They think that you literally are gonna make a dish. You have this dish in your brain, you're gonna make it, you're gonna plate it, and it's perfect. That's not how it goes.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of restaurants and chefs take a month or two for research and development, because
Yeah.
that's what it takes to get that perfect dish. And if you don't have the opportunity to do that, it becomes challenging for you to develop yourself and grow. So sometimes you need to take that step back. You need to take that step back and kind of refresh your brain and take yourself out of the daily operation in order to get that perfect plate. Nothing is
Yeah.
perfect, even when you think it's perfect.
And how do you balance when you work 6 days a week, long hours?
I'm
Do you
working
do
on
you
it.
carve out time to actually create new dishes, or
That's
have like I do you have a dedicated, like, I change my menu once a year or twice a year or something, and then you put time before to change that, or it's a bit more?
So I have right now at my restaurant, I run three menus. I have a tapas menu, which is for the terrace. I have an a la carte menu, which has my classic signature dishes. And then I have my tasting menu. My tasting menu is something that changes more frequently based on what I have available. I just got this amazing local crab. So it goes in my tasting menu. And that gives me more room to play, because people who usually select my tasting menu are the guests that are like, I blindly trust you
Mm,
and give me whatever you want.
yeah.
So for those who look for changes, I would say tasting menu. But when it comes to my a la carte, it is seasonal. I would say seasonally based on ingredients and how they change and the weather. So with my tasting, just a small example, let's say today it's winter, but it's a warm day in winter. If
Yeah.
my menu was actually based on richer dishes, I'm like, actually, it's really hot today. I'll on the spot changes to give people things that are more crisp and refreshing and suited
Yeah.
for the weather. I like to think about these little things.
Yeah. We talked a bit about the award and how that has impacted you. I wanted to talk specifically about the female aspect of the award, and mainly being a woman in food. And I know that you used to work in food before having your own restaurant. Did you feel like it's different when you're the boss and it's easier, or being a woman in food in general is more difficult than?
So I think we kind of touched on this. With each level comes different challenges. So
Yeah.
whether you're starting off as a trainee and people look at you like, she's not gonna last,
Mm.
like this is not gonna, she's not
But
gonna
why do you
make
think it is? Do you think because working in the kitchen requires physical strength and they just assume that as a woman you can't keep up with it?
it. I think sometimes that is the mentality. And I did get the questions initially like, are you sure you want to do this? Don't you want to start a family eventually?
Mm.
And I think maybe that is one of the reasons not a lot of women are in the industry. I'm not going to say it's the only reason, but one of many, because of the hours make it difficult to, meet someone and start a family. But I don't think that's the case in this day and age.
Yeah.
So when it came to like my initial days, it was always, uh, you're not gonna make it, you're not tough enough, she's gonna get bored, she's just doing. And then once you become in charge, it's like, why is she telling me what to do? Why
Yeah.
is she acting this way? And then once you reach where I am now, I've kind of disregarded anything that has to do with me being a woman, but I look at it, how can I be the best leader I can be? How
Yeah.
can I get the best out of my team? How can I make them perform the best? How do I motivate them? And I know my team don't look at me as a female chef.
Yeah.
They look at me as a chef. They treat me like a chef. Um, and I try to create the best environment for them to work in, because I have worked in
Without
environments that,
shouting and screaming and
yeah, I try. I really do. I don't shout and scream actually. Um,
actually.
actually, I'm very impressed. No, I mean, I've worked in very harsh environments,
Yeah.
very traditional culinary environments where you are put down and yelled at and constantly under pressure in a negative way, and that doesn't get the best out of you as a person.
Yeah.
So I think man or woman, I've seen several chefs and their styles of leading, and I decided to go with the other style, which is be as supportive and patient as you can be, but still stern and firm when it comes to perfection.
That's really nice. So going back to that award, to the MENA's 50 Best, beyond the award that you won, what do you think is the importance of having this, like this ceremony, like these awards for the first time in MENA? Do you think we're ready for it? Do you think we need it because it sets a standard and everyone gets better? What's your view on it in general?
I think we're ready. We've been waiting. Those of us who have been in the industry for a while have been working towards this kind of acknowledgement. And it gives you something to strive for and to push more, to be able to compare yourself finally to people around the world, rather than us being in the dark. I remember I have this book where I write, I say the no book. So whatever I want to dream to happen, I write it down and I kind of try to manifest it. And one of those things was one day 50 Best comes to the Middle East.
Yeah.
And
when was that? When did you write this?
This was maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is it gives you that sense of accomplishment, that sense of hey, we're on the same level.
Yeah.
It's something we all work really hard towards, and it allows the amazing bright stars that we actually have in this region to shine and have the spotlight on us, and to finally have our moment as Middle Eastern culture and cuisine in the spotlight. It's been a long time coming, and I think this is only going to push us further forward, and hopefully will be the next culinary renaissance.
Hopefully. But also, do you feel like the type of people who come to your restaurant are different, that there's a new crowd that's coming in because of this award, that people know more about Tala and your restaurant because of the 50 Best? And
100%. So I feel like our initial type of people that would come in were locals, were people who have been following me since 2012, since I had my baked by tea thing going on. And then it became people who found out about me on Top Chef. And now we heard about you from World's 50 Best. When, for example, Formula One was happening in Bahrain, I had Valtteri Bottas and his girlfriend, came in, and they asked for the tasting menu in advance.
Yeah.
And they had specifications, which is no meat, gluten-free. And I'm always interested when people I don't know, and I didn't know who they were by name. And I'm always interested to see, hey, who picked my tasting menu? It means they blindly trust me. And I go and I pop in, and I'm sure they found out through 50 Best. How else would they have heard about me? And it was just amazing that it opens these doors of visibility and people being able to see you and see what you do.
And I think being a chef in the new world of like social media and digital and information just available to everyone, I mean, it's so much better because you're just out there for everyone, and it's just easier for everyone to get to know you and get to visit you. But it also means that also everyone knows you and the expectations are higher, and it puts more pressure. We're gonna open it up for Q&A from the audience in a bit. So if anyone wants to add their questions, they can add it to the chat. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you one last question, which is, what's next for Tala? It could be in the immediate future, like you coming to Dubai, but it could also be in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years.
I like this question. This question leaves a lot for me to think about as well.
Yeah.
And for me to dream about. And I mean, for me, I'm not going to say in the long term, one thing I really, really would love to do is travel more, to experience more, to learn more. And however that may happen, whether it's through collaborations or just meeting up with chefs that I actually had the opportunity to meet on the 50 Best, and doing dinners together and learning about different cultures. So that's the goal right now. What I'm doing is carving out more time for myself in order to be able to grow more professionally, and develop what I do, my food. So travel, I'm putting it out there into the universe.
Yeah. So for everyone in Dubai, Tala has a dinner on June, is it 6th and 7th?
7th and 8th.
June 7 and 8 at Trisend. I think there are still spots left. I'm not very sure, but if you'd like to try her food and you're in Dubai on those dates, then try booking a spot. And with this, I'll open it up for Q&A from the crowd. Let's see what we have.
Be nice.
Aisha, thank you for this amazing talk, Tala. Very curious to know what's one dish you can't get enough of.
Ooh, okay. Rubian figata. Nobody knows what that is. Lynn's face. Rubian figata. It's a prawn and rice dish that we have, maybe even in the Gulf. And it literally means under the rice. Figata means under the rice. So it's we make it with dried shrimp. And that is one dish I can't get enough of.
Okay, so the shrimp is under the rice?
Yeah, so kind of like maqluba that you guys know. We don't flip it, but even thinking about it makes my mouth water. So,
is it street food or is it something you'd cook?
It's like a home meal. So
Okay.
it's a rice dish that means under the rice, and what we use is the dry shrimp, and we saute it with spices and onion and tomatoes, and then it ends up being put on top of the rice, and it's just like the umaminess is unbelievable, and it's just so comforting.
I need to go to Bahrain.
Yes, you do.
It's been way too long. Okay, let's see if we have more questions. Alex, thank you, Tala, for sharing with us today. Is there any special secret ingredient that you usually use when you want to take your plate to the next level? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
What?
Just the Bahraini fish sauce.
No, but I like the way you, because it is something that adds umami, but actually for me, kombu. I actually started now making my own umami salt out of ingredients that contain a lot of umami. I tend to dry them out, grind them up into a certain type of like really fine powder that just adding a little bit will take it to the next level. So kombu is one of those things. I make my own kombu salt. And that's it. I'm obsessed with salts and types of salts and how they can completely transform a dish. So yeah.
So the kombu it's not something available in Bahrain. It's something you get.
It is no. It's a Japanese type of seaweed that is used to make a dashi and many other stocks. But I just find that it adds this like level of umami brininess that is really nice to have.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Next question. Siham, hi, Chef Tala. Who's a chef that you look up to and why? Actually, I had this question for you, but I forgot to ask you.
A chef I look up to. There's many. I would say one right now is Jose Andres. He is currently doing the World Kitchen, where he supports whether it's refugees, whether it was, I think, Guatemala, they had a natural disaster. He went there and he got chefs around and he got to cook for them. So he's really giving back to the community. And spending
Beirut after the blast in Beirut. He was there as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he's someone I really look up to. And then you also have Kamal Muzawa, which he started his tawlet in Beirut And the whole premise of what he does is he allows housewives who maybe don't have degrees to have a place to work and cook their food the way they want to cook it and nourish other people. So that's his idea behind what he does. And it's these two people who are kind of giving back to the community, what is why I look up to them.
Yeah, we love Tawli and all the women that cook.
Yeah, I went in Paris recently, actually.
Really? How was it?
Amazing. And it was really
Yeah.
nice to see him, and I met the women as well. So
Yeah.
it was.
They're always so lovely. All right, let's see if we have any more questions. Hussein is from Bahrain, by the way. Hi, Tala. Thanks for joining us today. Other than Bahrain, what's your favorite food destination, country, or city?
Okay. I'm going to say, because there's a few, recently Lisbon, I really enjoyed, but I have to give it to Japan. Like
Yeah.
Japan, all of you, like the entirety of your amazing country, and each city and each region. Hokkaido, I will give it my favorite because of its unbelievable seafood that comes from the heavens. Like
Yeah.
it's, yeah, that for me would be it.
I agree on that one. I think we have a few more questions. Justin, love your story. Congrats of being an inspirational success. Food is huge for how I connect to my family, friends, and I love experimenting. What are your top 3 cookbooks for technique and recipes?
Okay, that depends on what kind of recipes, obviously, that you're looking for. If you're looking for more gourmet techniques and recipes, I would say 11 Madison Park. Their books are always great. They're very transparent. Even if you follow them to the T, some recipes and some cookbooks won't give you that.
Yeah.
So I would say 11 Madison Park. What else? I'm looking at my books over here. On Vegetables by Jeremy Fox is a very nice book that's about vegetables, how to cook them simply and just get the most flavor out of them. So I'll say those 2 cookbooks are probably a go-to for me.
Yeah. I need to get that second one. I don't have
Yeah.
All right. I think we have 3 more questions. So, Diane, Tala, do you have any recommendations for Middle Eastern cookbooks?
Middle Eastern cookbooks. Yes, I do. I have one in mind. It's Feast by
Anisa Halo.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
We had her on Talks at Google last year.
She's amazing. Honestly, when it came to voting, I voted for her for Best Female Chef. I'm just saying. Anisa.
I let her know. We had her on Talks at Google a few years ago, but yeah, it's a great book.
Feast is a great book, and it just covers the entire region, and it breaks it down so nicely from breads to rice to etc. So that's a really, really good one.
Yeah, and the Bahraini book you were talking
about. Yes, so
more of like something.
No. So she has
someone hands you.
Dalal al-Shurugi has 3 to 4 books. One of them is about the history, and one of them is called Al-Walima. So Al-Walima has traditional Bahraini recipes. So that would be a good go-to if you wanted to see kind of what Bahrain is about.
Okay, nice. Let's see what else we have. Andreas, do you think top chefs try to be creative to get headlines more than to make a dish tasty? I've had a share of bad experience at Michelin top 50s, like a broccoli dessert at Twin Garden in Moscow.
I definitely
I know you're trying to be diplomatic in your answer.
Yes, very much so. I think I had a shift, like I told you. I had a shift in my philosophy and my mentality. And I think with Instagram and with people following all these chefs and all these techniques and the visual aspect of a dish, people forget the flavor aspect of the dish. People's ego gets in the way of remembering why we do what we do, at least for me. Not every chef maybe does it to make others happy and nourish them and make delicious food. Other people have their own philosophies. But I do believe a lot of people try to get headlines. And they forget the premise. The premise of at least why I became a chef is because that's how I nurture others.
Yeah.
And in a selfish way, it kind of makes me feel good that I can do that for someone else. So,
Yeah. And I feel sometimes when you get stuck in the process of trying to reinvent something and you're stuck in the technique and so on, you get emotionally attached to that dish because you know how much effort and time you've put behind it. And I think the consumer at the end of the day just wants to eat something tasty.
and at the end of the day, it's all about also the chef's transparency. Like, for
Yeah.
example, Anthony Louis from Mugaritz, he was very transparent. He said, this menu is about good tastes and bad tastes.
Mm,
Not every dish is going to taste good. That's not the point.
yeah.
It's to evoke you and move something in you. But he is very straightforward, and that's where he's reached in his career in culinary, and that's the direction he wants to take, and I respect that. So again, it all comes down to transparency as well of what you're doing and what your philosophy is as a chef.
True. True. I think we have one or two more questions. Noura. Noura is also from Bahrain. I think you know her. Thank you for being with us today, Tala. What are your top 3 favorite restaurants in Bahrain, other than your own, that you'd recommend to anyone visiting?
Ooh, okay. I don't go out and eat much. Uh, no, I would definitely recommend you get not a specific place, but you gotta have tikka. Tikkas are street
Mm,
food, so I will mention one place, Tren. It's really a hole in the wall where they do skewered meat marinated in black lime, which is very much Bahraini. That's one go-to. Another good option would be Tabriz, also like very casual dining, but it's a seafood restaurant. They grill everything. It's a really funky, eclectic place to go. And three, why are you making my life hard? Say. Um, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know if I have a third, but if it comes up, if
I
something,
heard that there's a Greek restaurant in Bahrain that opens once a week only, but I forgot the name.
I never even heard of
No?
that.
No? Okay. I'll try to find the name for you.
Yeah. If something comes up, I mean, like I said, I don't go out as often as I like. But those are two I would say if people are coming to Bahrain to try.
Okay. I think we have a few more questions. Andreas, how to book your dates in Dubai? I'll send you guys details. It's with Tristan, the restaurant. I don't know if it's online or through calling them, but I'll find the details and I'll send them to you.
I won't make a broccoli dessert, I promise.
Okay, let's see what else. Luma, hey Tala, how do you view F&B accolades like Michelin star and other awards?
I mean, that's,
Just noticed that her family name is Bashmi too. So.
yeah, yeah, asking me tough questions here. So, Michelin and other accolades, I completely respect the premise of it. I respect where they came from. I respect the beginnings. From the beginning of my career, my goal was to get a Michelin star. That was what I was striving for. Um, until recently, again, my mentality shifted, and I don't strive for that anymore because that comes with its own added pressure and added how to retain that star. And that's not my goal. My goal is no longer to get a star. My goal is to make good food that makes people happy, that I'm proud to put out, that makes me happy to create. So with 50 Best, for example, it's amazing because it allowed us to shine and it's shown a light on our region. And I'm happy I've had this mental shift because my goal has gone away from creating food that I know will get a star to creating food that I want to create, full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it from the crowd. Tala, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for giving us an hour of your I know how precious your time is. It
Thank
was
you.
great getting to know you, getting to know your story, and hopefully we'll see you in Dubai in a few weeks.
Yes.
And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been really great. And I'll see you in Dubai.
See you in Dubai. Bye. Thank you.